Remember way back when 40-man raiding was a thing? And people didn't ask for less than 10 people to complete the content in an MMO? I do. And I liked it. I liked it a lot, in fact. I liked it for a lot of reasons. It was a blast. You want to know why? Well, here's 5 reasons why. Scale and grandeur is important. No one expects a king to rock some homeless armor, and when we enter a massively multiplayer experience, we don't usually expect to be a smattering of people against a dragon the size of a city. Even objectively, in gaming, more is better. It was so long ago that it's hard for people to fathom that at a basic level, imagine your entire Alterac Valley force was not only not fishing or hunting kobolds, but in your guild and on your team. A lot of players have argued that they prefer 25, 10, or even asking for smaller groups to compete content. Weird. But then I kind of want to put that down to an enormous amount of people who never got to experience this stuff. And I'm not saying this is a random opinion. The introduction of Undasta gave such huge amounts of positive feedback that it's hard to ignore, despite the fact that nearly the entire raid was watching the fight in spirit form, and the server lagged so badly they had the FPS of a JPEG. But despite all that, all the lag, all the deaths, when players got a taste of actual, massive action raiding, they loved it. I mean friggin' loved it. This is the reason people play MMOs, to rock and roll, with as many gangsters as you can squeeze onto the screen. The forums exploded with joy at this newfound adventure. As I said, scale and grandeur can make up for a lot of things. It can even mask a weaker raid boss by enhancing the experience of just being in an army. Now, I'm not saying that they made the raid smaller when 40 was scrapped in TBC. In fact, they stayed relatively the same, but now they just felt empty. This is obviously more noticeable in 10s. Even today, look at Lei Shen's platform when the raid spreads out. If this was butter on your toast, you'd be pissed. Blizz obviously noticed that without players to populate grand scale raids, that something needs to fill it. Most people haven't really noticed the difference, but in essence it meant more trash. Look at Nax, AQ40. For 40 people, an average trash pack was 3 to 5 mobs. Yeah, really? Now look at Siege of Orgrimmar, Firelands, Dragon Soul, Hyjal. Huge AoE fest trash packs, one after another. It's most noticeable with the greater use of friendly NPCs in raids to further populate the zones. Maybe it's just me, but I kind of preferred my raids populated by people, not trash. How many rogues have you got in your guild, huh? 1? 4? Lame. Let's talk about the obvious aspects of having a roster of 50 or 60 people. Many more people playing the same class as you full time. One big change that occurred when 40 died off was that we no longer needed class officers. Instead, we switched to the standard role officers we know now, and even in some cases, just a guy called officer.
No one knows what he does. He's the DKP. He does the DKP or something. I don't know. But he's an officer.
But interclass communities were totally badass. They're like high school cliques of jocks and geeks, instead of the breakfast club mishmash we have with the smaller groups. There's a great thing when there are 8+ of the same class each and every week, chatting about their class shit, or what's more, bitching. Not only is having many of the same class shooting the shit, and about how to improve or tricks learnt on a certain fight, but the class channels were rife with ways to abuse the other classes into wasting DKP, or generally how much other classes suck in comparison to ours. It sounds childish and goofy, and it was, but it was a lot of fun. Loot was obviously a hot topic each week. With so many people in competition for that staff or that dagger, then things can either get ugly, or they can go really well. It was one of those things I enjoyed the most about being interclass communities. Orders and lists made of who was getting what. In some cases, it also displayed signs of the Stanford experiment, in which your own class community would now see the other class groups as enemies, trying to steal your precious resources. Each group connived and plotted to overthrow their perceived enemies, using their same armor pieces or trinkets, and in many cases, even if you didn't like the guild as a whole, you may have simply enjoyed your own class guild within a guild, giving more opportunity to learn and improve, while sharing and enjoying the same victories and problems together. Now, many of you won't agree with me here, but in my old age, I've discovered that this is something that can actually make raiding more enjoyable, but also strengthen a guild and allow for faster progress sometimes. Those all sound like good things, right? So what is it, you might ask? Carrying noobs. Yeah, you heard me. One of the reasons the reduction of raid sizes to 25 and 10 was that egotistical raiders, like me, truly believed that it meant we could kick all the noobs who were slowing us down and always dying in our raids, the scrubs, the leechers, who are the easy target when things go wrong. One only has to see an LFR wipe to see how quickly the apparent pros berate everyone else for the wipe, despite the fact they are usually fucking terrible players themselves. It was to be the dream. Kick the 15 or so leechers, and what was left would be the ultimate A-team. Unstoppable. And all-round amazeballs. Oh, it didn't happen though, did it? No shit. In reality, some of the funniest and most interesting people I've ever had the chance to raid with, sadly, weren't always the best players, and in the early days, I would get pissed at them for being the cause of slow progress. Then over time, I joined bigger and better guilds. While the kill speed did increase, the wipes were still there. Pretty regularly, in fact. Only now some of the fun was gone, and many of those guys just went on to lesser guilds who were still having more fun than I was. Moreover, the new amazing super guild still had the same problems. As the perceived skill of raids increased, so did mechanics and boss difficulty. So the previous better players were now showing signs of weakness in the face of greater challenge. And pretty quickly you're right back to square one. It's the same reason that we see now when a solid 25-man struggles, blames the 5 or 7 people who are the easy targets, then break down into their new super uber 10-man. Only a few months, weeks, or even days later, that 10-man is stuck again and looking for someone else to blame. It's kind of sad, but I now believe that carrying noobs is okay in some situations, as long as the boss design allows for mistakes to happen and still be defeated. Nax was considered the most hardcore 40-man raid ever designed, yet nearly all encounters still had the flexibility to allow for several or even many deaths while not being a wipe. That's great in my eyes. While the hardcore of the hardcore love the new bosses, they're a wipe and even one person dies or even just screws up slightly. It's fantastic. The vast majority are not the hardcore of the hardcore and would appreciate the chance to progress even while those clowning nubs had their face in the dirt. I've listed number 2 as presence. What does that mean? It's such a simple concept that it gets overlooked, and it's actually a byproduct of the reduction in raid size. When you reduce the amount of people needed to form a raid, then the after effect is the reduction to size of guilds. We saw how once the promotion of Even Stevens' 10-man content, the number of 10-man guilds per server grew exponentially, while the larger guilds one by one fell away into nothingness. It's to be expected. Most people will flock to whatever the simplest method is to achieve their goals. The effect of this is all guilds began to become faceless members of a crowd, as there simply isn't a significant proportion of them to represent anything worthwhile. Anyone would be hard-pressed to stroll through their major city and recognise more than a couple of members from a guild that actually meant anything to them. But why is that important? Inspiration is a big fucking deal. Without the big names inspiring people to strive for something better than people en masse simply won't. In fact, the opposite is a factor now. Huge money-grabbing cesspool guilds are actually the signs of ones to avoid. How sad is that? I've even taught people to stay away from guilds that you see members of everywhere, as it is usually not a good sign. It sucks balls. Super large raiding guilds that every major city and even the open world meant that their presence was felt, and as such they were gaining gear, doing activities that could only be done with a huge group of people. Then that inspires the lone wolves to go out and do something about it. There's nothing quite like seeing 40 hardened raiders riding across the plains on their fancy mounts and squeaky clean raiding gear to push someone to give those things a try, and with such huge rosters it was much easier to slot into a raiding guild that was actually doing something, rather than flopping your balls into the thousands of 10-mans with tabard and bank access that we have today without actually getting anywhere. Well, of course this is number one.
Oh God, you're in there! Crystal God, do it! Himura! He'll top.
Kill these eyes.
Heals up.
Oh, that just crashed. Oh, jeez.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah!
G, come on, Genji.
Come on. Yeah.
Yes! And those weren't even cherry-picked. Voice comms is of course a vital part of raiding. It still is today, but fact is, more is better. I know I started with the boss screams, which everyone assumes is the main thing about gaming voice comms, but it extends to much more than that. Everyone has those guys in the guild who simply do not like to chit-chat or even speak at all. I'd say voice comms is easily 60 to 65% of the reason I fell in love with raiding. There's something simply magical about so many people communicating to achieve a goal. But boss kill screams might be the most recorded aspect of voice comms, but for me it's everything in between. The banter between a guild as it's clearing trash. That is where friendships and personalities really shine. Hours can vanish so quickly when you're being chatted to and talking to with people with completely simple ideas. During day-to-day life, we rarely, if ever, meet one, let alone any people who are as into so many different little nerdy topics as you are, and bring in one or two really funny geeks and you're in for a really good time. This can be done in 10 and 25 though, so what the fuck? In 40, the experience is simply different, and for me, considerably better. So many personalities, knowledge, opinions, correct or incorrect, everything is just multiplied. Every joke, whine, fuck up and congratulations is magnified amongst the larger crowd. Sharing experiences with so many people builds a strong long-term team and creates one of the most exciting and fun environments to play games in that I have ever experienced. This is actually part 1 of 2 videos looking at 40-man raiding, so if you didn't like the things I said in this one, maybe you should check out the other one, or maybe check out one of the other videos that are similar to this. Thanks guys, see you later.